Well, again, I just wanted to thank everyone for registering for training for this year. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jennifer Gann, the publications editor with the Office of the University Registrar, but I'm primarily known as a Bulletin editor. I'm the person you'll be hearing from throughout the publication cycle to keep things on track, and you should reach out to me with any questions throughout the process this year. In just a minute, I'm going to turn things over to Shuva Rahim from Leepfrog, which is the software development company behind the CourseLeaf CAT software that we use to manage the bulletin. I'll keep an eye on the chat during her presentation, so please ask any questions there or send me an email if you think of anything after we're done here today. And really just thanks for coming, and I look forward to working with everybody on this edition of the Bulletin.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Are you recording this, by the way? I just want to make sure.
I am.
Good. Okay. All right. So hello, everyone. I'm Shuba Rahim. I am a trainer at Leepfrog Technologies. We are a software company based in Iowa, and we make products for colleges and universities. And so we helped Westel create your new catalog product a couple of years ago, I think, maybe more than that. And so this is a refresher training that we offer every year. We did this training about a year ago, and there's just only a couple things that are slightly modified, but I'll point those out when we get to that. If you're new to this process, this is the web address for your catalog. We'd like you to go into the catalog via Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. The website is nextbulletin.westel.edu. So again, if you're brand new, just a few things to introduce you to the software. This is an online catalog that allows students to search for courses and programs a lot more easily, as opposed to, just having like a PDF per se. And then another aspect to it is accessible on all browsers, even though we favor Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. If you are a Explorer user or a Bing user, you can also view the catalog on that browser, as well as look at it on all types of devices, whether you're on a computer, a desktop, a laptop, your phone, or an iPad. It will orient itself based on the size of screen that you're looking at it at. It's also ADA compliant. I will touch on that a little bit later. And then, of course, the easiness of it as far as using and searchability purposes. It's a fairly intuitive place for users, and hopefully it will be intuitive for you as end users as well. So a few items of terminology I want to review. The first one is page owner. That is the person who is responsible for making edits to a particular page. That term is also called page editor or page initiator. It doesn't matter which term you use, as long as you're familiar with it and you know that you are responsible for a particular page or a series of pages. Workflow, this is the path, the approval path that happens when you are submitting your work. There will be a start workflow button on the lower right-hand side of your screens on whatever page you're on, and that basically is what triggers workflow. So before I continue, I just want to make sure everybody is muted. So if you are unmuted, go ahead and mute yourselves, since we want to make sure this recording is as clean as possible. So thank you. Okay, so the other thing is approve. Approve is basically the action that your approvers would take, your people in workflow will take, and I'll point out what that looks like kind of on the front end for you. Rollback, this is something that hopefully you don't have to do in the catalog, but if something's very much wrong in the catalog, then people can send it back to you to fix. So this is more on the approver side. The approvers hopefully will click that green button more than not, but otherwise they have the edits and rollback option. So this training is really for you to be familiar with the workflow, as well as just the editing components. More about the editing components than anything else. I'll talk about some toolbars that you'll see on your screen. The good news is a lot of these edits are very similar to what you do in Microsoft Word. So it's just looks a little bit different. So we want you to be familiar with that. All right, so with that, I'm going to take this off my screen here. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves or type them in the chat as we go through this. I'm going to cancel that for a second here. All right, so I am here on the bulletin page, on the home page. And so when I get access to the bulletin, first of all, my URL is slightly different just because of how I authenticate into the site. You will still use that Worcester that website that I gave you, nextbulletin.worcester.edu. So back here, that's the website you will use. It may prompt you to authenticate with your username and password. But once you're on there, you will see your bulletin. And you'll see this edit page icon on the top right left-hand corner. So when you click on that, you're going to see a top toolbar and a bottom toolbar. Now, if you are on a page that you're not authorized to edit, it will say that at the top. And so the toolbar, it will say, you know, this is read only, you're not authorized to edit. And that means that you are not supposed to edit this page. You can view pretty much every page in the catalog or in the bulletin, but you will only see the toolbar for the pages you're authorized to make updates on. On the lower right-hand, the left-hand side, it will say who you're logged in as. So I'm logged in as myself. And then it will say the page owner a little ways toward the middle. So here, the page owner is copy editor and myself. And then the workflow is showing as bulletin editor, Julie Kennedy, and bulletin final. So if I click on this workflow hyperlink, it's going to show me who you know, the email addresses associated with those roles are, and maybe even the people associated with those roles. So, you know, if you are curious about who's supposed to get your pages, you can always click on that workflow hyperlink and do a screenshot of this preview workflow box, just so you have it in case you're, you know, curious as to who's going to be looking at your work. Okay. And yes, Jennifer has confirmed that you will need to log in with your WSL key. Okay, so now once I'm here, I'm going to close the toolbar again and open it up again. Once I'm here, I can see a page with tabs. And so if you are on a tab page like this one thing you want to keep in mind is that when you review a page and make updates to it, you want to make sure to review all the tabs and make changes to everything before you click on Start Workflow. So you can see the Start Workflow button here is on the lower right-hand side of my screen. So this is the last thing that you click. This is your Turn It In button. So it will say when you are done working, click on the Start Workflow button to submit your page for review. So again, this is the last thing that you click. What you don't want to do is review one tab and then click Start Workflow, because then you don't get access to the rest of the page. So let's say that I've reviewed this overview tab. I like what I see here. And I want to go to now this training tab, which has been created for this session. So if I want to update the content on my page, the first thing I want to do is click on this little pencil icon right here. And that is basically my window to open up this editing interface. This is what we call the page body editor. So you'll see that there's a bunch of icons at the top, and then you have this large text box. This is basically very similar to a WordPress interface. And so the first thing that I want to go over is some basic styling components. And so first thing in terms of styling, if I type in the word styling, and let's say I want to start off my page with a heading. Now, in terms of styling, you have some limitations. You don't have the luxury to pick the font necessarily, but it's really between whether you want a normal sized font or a heading. So let's say I have the word styling here. Here in this little drop down, I can see the where it says paragraph format. normal. So if I click on the drop down, I see heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. I want to start off with the heading 2. So heading 2 is going to be the largest heading that I can have. I don't have the option of a heading 1 because heading 1 is taken up by the title of my page, which is Welcome to Washington University's Bulletin. So that will not be available to me, but heading 2 will. So now once I've created that heading, that H2 heading, I can then start working on character or some basic styles of content. So one of the things that you will have available to you, and this is something that you already know about, is bold, italicize, underline. So I can click on this B icon to bold. I can click on the I icon to underline. Italicize, and the U icon to underline. You can also use keyboard shortcuts for these. So if I want to undo these, I can do a Command or a Control U, Command or Control I, Command or Control V. And same thing with the keyboard shortcuts that I'm using on my keyboard here for those exact same elements. All right, so nothing is super complicated there. Now, the other thing is if I do want to make a subhead, for example, one thing that I want to keep in mind is that the subhead has to be nestled under that main header. So heading 3 is what I would pick for my subhead. Now, it doesn't look like there's a lot of difference between heading 2 and heading 3, but heading 3 is slightly smaller. And if you do use subheads, really the whole point of this is to make sure that everything is kind of nestled in order. So you don't want to start off with a heading 5 and go to a heading 3 and then go to a heading 2. You want to keep the styling for subheads uniform if you are going to use multiple subheadings. All right, so that's just something to keep in mind. The next thing that I want to cover is bullets. And so bullets and numbered lists are really important in our software. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of zoom out here for just a moment. So you can see that over here we have the number 1, number 2, and the bulleted icons. So one of the things that we really emphasize here is that if you have content that lends itself to a list of some kind, whether that's in bullet points or in a numbered list, we do encourage you to use these tools, mainly because these specifically are designed so they're discernible programmatically discernible for individuals who use any kind of assistive learning technology, such as screen readers. And so when a screen reader is looking at this, is kind of interpreting this information, it will read it as 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. And so that is something that we take a lot of pride in from a technical standpoint, and we definitely encourage you to use those tools when you can. All right, so right now, everything I've talked about is fairly easy, hopefully. Now, once I'm done editing, I'm not done editing technically, but once I want to save my work, I'm going to click OK here. And OK, you can see what I've done so far. Now, if I want to go back in, I'm going to click on that pencil icon again. And let's say that I, just maybe temporarily forgot about how to do subheads, about how to, do like a basic heading. The good news is there is this help icon up at the top within the page body editor. And I'm going to refer to this a few different times this hour, but if I click on this blue icon, it's going to redirect you to the page body editor page of our help site. And there's going to be a bunch of links here, a bunch of sort of sub tabs. There's child pages. And so this one where it says formatting text will talk about how to create some of those headings and bulleted lists that we just went over. This on this page navigation is kind of like a table of contents. So when I click on, let's say, helpful tips for using headings, it's going to automatically redirect me to that page so I don't have to scroll all the way down. Okay, so that is the help section. Oftentimes you'll see the help pages have GIF videos as well as written instructions accompanying them. Okay, so then the next thing I want to go over are links. And so as I'm going through this, just FYI as a reminder, if you are just joining the call, please go ahead and mute yourself so we don't have background noise in the recording. So with links, I'm going to go ahead and type in the word links here. And I'm going to go ahead and make this. Let's try that again. Got a little off space there. Links. And I'll go ahead and make this a heading. I'll make this a heading 2 as well. So there's a few different types of links that I want you to be aware of. The first one is going to be an external link. I'm going to type in a few things here before I show them to you. All right, so the first one is an external link. And so let's say that I want to go ahead and put in a link to my homepage. All right. Okay. All right, so before I do that, I'm going to select my word, Washington University, and go ahead and click on this chain link icon right here, where it says link. And once I'm here, I'm going to see this pop-up box. So in this pop-up box, I'm going to see this URL field. And if I want to redirect people outside my catalog, I want to make sure I start this off with an HTTP. That is what is letting the software know that I want to go outside the catalog. And so now I've typed in the home page, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And so now we have a link to Washington University. I'm going to click OK here. And you can see this is what the link looks like. The next link is an internal link. So let's say that I want to go to the engineering page. And yeah, I don't know if there's a way to mute everybody, but I just want to make sure everybody is muted. So if you are having a microphone on, go ahead and please take it off or mute yourselves. All right, and I don't see the option. I don't know, Jennifer, if you can see the option to mute everybody, but I cannot on my end anyway.
I can't. I'm going to reach out to a couple people where I can see that their microphones are on though.
Okay. Okay, so here we have the engineering page. And let's say that you're in a position where you want to copy and paste some information. So actually, I'm sorry, not copy and paste, but we're going to go ahead and redirect people to the engineering page. Now, instead of copying the whole URL, because we're still kind of in an editing space, the next catalog is really an editing environment. The next bulletin rather is an editing environment. So it's not necessarily going to be the live site. But what you want to do is copy and paste what's called the relative URL. For me, this is everything after the .com. For you, it's going to be everything after the .edu. And so here I have selected /undergrad/engineering. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that and go back to my page here and open up this page body editor. And under links here for engineering, I'm going to go ahead and select the word engineering, click on that link icon again. And in the URL field, I'm going to go ahead and paste that relative URL. So only everything after the .edu is what I'm putting in this URL field. All right, so once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now we have that internal link. The last link that we have is an email link. So instead of typing out an email address, you can put this as a hyperlink. And so what I'm going to do next is go ahead and click on that link icon again. And for a URL, what you'll want to do for an email link, rather, instead of just typing in the email address, you're going to type in the words mail to, MAILTO colon, and then the email address. So let's say the registrar at westall.edu is the email address that I want to type in. No spaces in between the mail to and the email address, mail to colon and the email address again. And then I'm going to click OK. And now I see a hyperlink with this. All right, so now we have 3 hyperlinks. This is our external link, our internal link, and our email link. There's a couple other links I want to show you. And this is something that's a little bit different right now, but we are going to look into this on our end because I did notice something that wasn't working correctly, but I just want to let you know that ahead of time so you're not alarmed by it. So the first thing that I'm going to show you, the next thing is called an inline course reference. And so instead of just typing in a course code, just like that, you can hyperlink it so that it will show up in a way that there will be a course bubble. So let's say that I have this course code and I'm going to go ahead and select it. And so once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on this little icon that looks like a fist with an arrow pointing over to the right. That is my inline course reference, where it says insert edit database field. When I click on that, it's going to convert it to the course number and the name of the course. Now the blue box does not publish. It's not something that's visible to the viewer, but we can see that is in a blue box, and that means pulling information from your student information system. So if I click OK here, what it will look like on the front end is this. So this is a hyperlink, this is a hyperlink, and this is a hyperlink. And technically this one is as well. So when I click on this, it will then reveal this course bubble that displays the description and the credit units and any other information that is relevant for that course. So this is what students see, so they don't have to go hunting for, what is this course about? They see it automatically in that hyperlink. So that is an inline course reference. I'm going to go ahead and go back in here again. And let's say, so this is where it gets a little funky. So we're going to go ahead and look at this a little bit in a little bit. But ideally what's supposed to happen is, let's say if I double click on the blue box, it should technically revert me to that computer science listing of courses. Now this is something that we'll look into and fix. Now let's say, for example, I didn't mean to type in computer science. I meant something else in a different department, let's say East Asian Studies. I'm going to go ahead and select East Asian Studies and click OK, of course, in this field, and then click OK, and it will then convert that blue box to reveal the information about that page that I just typed in. All right, so that's the other thing that will happen. Instead of having to delete what you just put in, you can just double click and then find, now it's working here. So, so East Asia, I didn't mean to have 070 or 1070, and maybe I meant 180. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the one I wanted, and now it's going to just make that selection on that blue box. The other scenario that could happen in this is, let's say that you go ahead and type in something that does not exist. So I don't think this is a course that exists. So let's say if I click, type in this and click on that inline course reference, it will say course not found. Now, course not found, this will show in a red box on the editing side. The red box does not publish, but obviously you don't want any red boxes on your page. Now, a few things really quickly. If you have a lot of content that you want to review or that you need to review on your page and you are trying to figure out if you do have red boxes, there is this green dot with a question mark in it on your toolbar called Accuracy Report. If you click on that, it will then kind of scan the page and it will show you that, hey, there's something that shows is not found. Now, the one thing to note is it will not necessarily say where it exists. So it might technically exist on the overview tab. So if I click on accuracy report while I'm on the overview tab, it will still identify that there's something that's not found. So you have to find where that is, but at least you know that, okay, there's a problem here that I need to solve. So that's what this red box indicates. Okay, so then East Asia 180, we can see that there's a course bubble here. The other thing I want to show you before I go into the help section again is the view as PDF. So the view as PDF is going to give you an indication of what this page looks like if it's printed out as a PDF. So if I click on that, it will start at the beginning of the page, which is technically that overview tab. So as I scroll through kind of the training tab of this page, we can see that it's showing me the content that I already put in here. And then when I'm looking at the links, it will display what those hyperlinks are in parentheses. So we can see the external link. The internal link will display what that final URL would look like, the email link, and then we have our links, our internal course reference, which really isn't a link, but as much as it is acknowledging that course. And then if you do have a course not found, that will actually print in the PDF that way if you don't fix that red box. The red box is going to be a couple things. So it's one that maybe you mistyped that course code and you just need to find the right one. Or if it is a course that exists, but it's not showing in your student information system, that's something that you might want to kind of maybe refer to Jennifer on and make sure it is in the system. Good question. So Jacqueline asks, is the link in the PDF active to click on or just print it? So I can go ahead and click on this. You can see my icon, my icon changing to a hand, finger pointing. So if I click on this, it will open up that URL. So it is definitely active. Good question. Okay, let's go back into the page body editor. And if I click on the link or the pencil icon, I want to show you where those links are as reference points. So I'm going to go up here to the help, the blue dot with a question mark. And again, it's always going to redirect you to the page body editor, but you kind of have to look for what it is that you are trying to find. So under the page body editor, in most cases, you'll see links, about links. And this page will talk about some of the things that we address, like how to create links, an email address, links in the PDF. So how to create links. Again, this is showing a GIF video and written instructions. on how to do some of those things that we just talked about. All right, so that's a good reference. I think that's probably the good first reference if you forget how to do some of those things. The other thing that I want to point to, I'll open this back up. The inline course reference is actually just right above the page body editor. So if I click on inline course, this page in particular will talk about how to do that inline course reference, how to insert those course codes, and what to look for when you are doing that particular piece of it. So again, this is also a good resource to review if you can't remember how to do something. All right. The other thing that you may have noticed in the pop-up box is, and this link icon, is this upload a new file. So this is where you can upload, let's say, a PDF if you, if you have one ready. So this is no different than attaching a file to your email. So if I click on this choose file icon, I can then go ahead and find a PDF here in my computer and click open or attach, and it will attach that right here. And then I can click OK, and then I will see the name of that document appear as a link. So if I click OK here, just to show you what that looks like, if I click on this little PDF, it's going to then open up to my document. So that's what that PDF link will do. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is copying and pasting. Again, something you're probably already doing a lot of, but just a couple things that are slightly different in this software that I want you to be aware of in terms of copying and pasting is some of the tools that you'll see. So Jennifer has posted, as a rule, we do want to add files in this way versus just linking to them on department page, so they will be archived with the HTML version of the bulletin. Okay. So the copy and paste piece, let's just go, I'm back on the engineering page, and let's say that I want to copy this paragraph here. So, and this goes for anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily from your bulletin site. It can be another external site. So let's say I have this piece of text, I've selected it. I'm going to go ahead and do a Command C or a Control C to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to my page body editor. Now, when I go back in here and open this up, I don't necessarily just want to do a Command V right away. What I want to do instead is on my toolbar, you have this little icon. You have these three clipboards here. And I want to click on the middle clipboard that has a T in it. So I want to go ahead and click on that, and it will then open this pop-up box saying paste as plain text. And in this pop-up box, this is where I want to do my Control or Command V. Now, the reason I want to go here instead of just straight onto the page body editor is that really it's going to eliminate any kind of back-end quirky, symbols that might show up that we're not visibly seeing in the software. So this is going to be a little bit more cleaner, a lot cleaner really, than doing it directly in the page body editor. So I want to make sure that I click on that clipboard with the little T in it, and then paste my content in here. And then once I do that, I can click OK, and then I'll see my paragraph or my sentence or whatever pasted on my screen. All right, so that's the other thing that you want to be aware of. Okay, so I want to pause here for just a moment. We have a couple other things that I want to go over, but does anyone have any questions on anything? Yes, so does it do accent marks in plain text? And actually that's a good question, because let's just talk about special characters for just a moment. So if you have a word like cafe, and I'm going to actually answer a different question, Jacqueline, before I get to yours. So I'm going to go ahead and put in this cafe here. And special characters right here, I think. Yeah. So this little kind of sort of horseshoey looking icon, insert special character. This is where you can find your special character, like that E, and then put it in. So that's your special character. Does it copy and paste items with special characters? So let's try. Let's just do something like this. So technically it looks like it does, yes. So if the special character is already available, then it will. Otherwise, if it is not showing, then you will probably need to use that little icon. But thanks for that question. Okay, so the next item that I want to cover is a course list. So a lot of your pages will have basically a list of courses. And if we look at the engineering page, I don't know if I'll find one right away, but the engineering page may have some stuff. I don't remember if it did or not. It has something here, but I'm not going to find it right away. But a lot of you will probably need to review some basic components right here. So foundation course requirements. This is a basic course list. You can see with this course list that there's hyperlinks. And so with each of these hyperlinks, it generates the course bubble. There's also a few things that you'll notice within this table. One of them are items in parentheses. Those are comments. Other things that you'll see are or courses. So you have a course, but you also have these other options. So those are also identified. So those are some things that we're going to talk about next, how to create a course list. So I'm going to go back into this page body editor, and we're going to go ahead and talk about how to make tables. And most likely, a lot of what you'll be doing is at least updating tables or reviewing what's already there. So tables is going to be the next thing that we cover. So the first one is a course plan. And to do a course plan, what you'll want to do is click on this grid icon. And when I click on that, it's going to then give me this drop down. It's going to default to course list. Now there's a course list and course plan. We'll talk about the course plan in just a moment. But course list is the first thing here. So you can just leave it there and click OK. And it will then bring up this interface on the back end where you will be selecting your college and then your department. All right, so now I've picked my college, I've picked my subject area, and I see my list of courses. Let's pick something else here. Okay, chemistry. Okay, so now this box represents what is actually going to be in my table. So when I add courses in my table, this is my master list on the left. I can select a course and then use the arrow pointing to the right to single click, single click, single click, or I can double click, double click, double click. All right, so that's how I would do my course list. When I click OK, this is what I have right now. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger on my screen so we can see it. So this is what we have at the very basic level. If I want to make updates to this, I'm just going to double click in the blue box. And just keep in mind, if you single click, it's not going to do anything. If you end up single clicking, it's going to just select everything, so you can't really go in. And that happens, just gently move out of the box into the white area to deselect, and then go back in and just do a quick double click to bring this back up again. All right, so the next thing, let's talk about some of these pieces here. So if I want to make a comment about a course, I'm going to select that course and make a comment. Let's say C instructor. And so this comment is only attached to 105. If I go to 106, that comment goes away. If I click on 105, I see that comment again. Sequence. So sequence is basically meaning that you are taking this course in conjunction with another course. So sequence is something that you'll have to type in. So let's say L07 Chem 125. Okay, so that's my sequence. My cross-reference is going to be the same thing. So cross-reference is, whatever that is. So, one of the things with this is if you know the course, then just type it in. If you are not sure, then you may have to look for it. So let's say cross-reference with physics, L31 physics 105. Okay. Let's just pause here for just a moment. So one thing, Jennifer, I do notice that the units are not showing. Is that intentional for your school?
I do think that's normal, and we just use the units box here to override if there's a reason to.
Okay. So Carrie has a question. Is the cross-reference another name for the same course? Yes. Yes, it is. In our software world, it is. I don't know if that is different for you guys, Jennifer. Is cross-reference the same course technically?
I mean, I think it can be. I honestly don't think that field gets used a whole heck of a lot.
Okay. Yeah, in our universe, cross-reference, cross-list is what we use generally, but cross-reference is basically like it's the same course taught by the same instructor. Yeah. So that's what that is. Can you do multiple cross-listed courses? Yes, you can. To do that, all you have to do is type in a comma and put in that course. So I'm obviously making stuff up here, so let's see what happens. And then let's go to or. So or course. So you have general chemistry or let's say or physics. Okay. All right, so let's see what we have here. Okay, so one thing you'll note, and this is where Jennifer had mentioned that the units are already showing. If you want to override, then you use that. So we have the comment. The comment is in parentheses. This is your sequence course. So they're going to take Chem 106 in conjunction with 125. This is their sequence. The cross-reference we can see is going to be showing up in forward slashes between those courses. The or is going to be essentially saying that students can take this course or this course. That's what the or is referring to. Okay. So cross-reference is not the same as cross-list with another departmental course list. So in our software world, we use cross-list instead of cross-reference. Now, this is going to vary by school, but cross-list for us means same course, same instructor, same time, but it's the the courses are different. So they technically could be the same course number, but they don't have to be. So it could be like English 200, Women's Studies 200. In sort of the generic world, that is what the norm is, but there's also some variance with every school. So I think that might be more of a Westall question. But generally speaking, it would be the same course number. And I know I didn't do the same course number here, only because of what I saw what was available, but that's Jennifer or somebody else who has a cross-reference in their department, they might be a better person to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, that's how it would be used for
Okay.
that type of cross-listing.
All right, so this is what we're looking at here. And one thing to note is before I added this 125 here, the units were probably not 6. So if I go back to 125, if I just take this out for just a moment, we can see it reverts to 3. So that will impact what I put in here. I'm just going to go ahead and put something in here just so we have something. Physics. Okay, so now we can see because that addition, it changes that unit number. The other thing, if you do want to see the full units, some hours, this little checkbox here, if I click on that and click OK, we'll see the total right here. And then finally, a few other things I want to point out is add comment entry. So comment entry is, let's say that I want to add another course, let's say a new course that hasn't really gone through the full approval process. To do that, what I would do is, let's say that I have like L31 Physics 190, and then I would do a colon, and then from there I would maybe do like making something up here, so free physics. Okay, so then the title of the course. So we have colon, L31, this is the course code, colon, and the name of the course. If I click OK here, it's going to look like this initially. But when I go ahead and click OK, what'll happen is it will then, it will convert itself ideally to whatever that course code was once it's approved. But it will line itself up from the course code and the title. So technically I probably could have just written Physics 190, but nevertheless, this is what it would look like if it's a course that hasn't been fully approved yet. But we know it's going to exist. All right. So that's your course list. Is there anything else on course list you want me to cover or anybody has questions on?
I just wanted to mention on that last entry, yeah, that is what we use for courses that did not come in with the course import if we need to add something. And you do need to add the number of units if you're adding something that way.
Oh, good point. Okay. So here, so they would have to put in the 3 or whatever that was. All right. A few other things and then I'll be done. So one is, let's say I have a footnote with this course. So footnote, if I just type in the number 1 here under footnote and click OK, I have the footnote, but I need to know what the footnote is about. And so from this, I'm going to go back into the grid icon, and instead of course list, I'm going to go down to footnotes halfway down. This is where I would create a footnote table. So the footnote table is basically sort of a mini page body editor. And so the first thing you're going to do is type in the number 1 here under symbol, it's going to put a number 1 up here automatically. And then in the footnote content box, you would type in your footnote. Once you do that, you're going to scroll down a little ways and click OK, and it will then generate that blue box for that footnote. So that's all you have to do in terms of the footnote. When I look at my table, the footnote is just going to look like a regular footnote in a textbook. All right. We have 3 more things to cover and then we'll be done. One, let's say you're at the end of your page body editor and you can't really go any further. You're going to see this dotted red line. The dotted red line is kind of not visible right now, but you can see I can't go any further. And so I'm going to click in here and I'm going to see this red square with an arrow in it where it says insert paragraph here. You're going to go on and click in that red box so then we can get that extra line to come up on the screen so that we can kind of do more work here. All right, so now the next thing I want to cover really quickly is the course plan. The course plan is very similar to the course list. The only difference is you have the year and the term here. So when you pick your college and your subject, first of all, it's not going to let you do that. You want to click the year and the term first. So you'll want to make sure to select the year and the term and then add your courses. So let's say this is first year fall semester. Now I'm going to go over to spring. So the fall stuff is not visible right now, but it is being saved on the back end. So don't be alarmed that you can't see it anymore. So now I'm going to go ahead and select my courses for spring. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to second year and fall. So everything, once you've selected things and then changed it, it looks kind of alarming because you're like, okay, where did that stuff go? But it is still in the back end. So I have first year fall and spring and second year fall and spring. I'm going to click OK here. And once I've done that, I can see that I have my table here with my course plan. All right, so that's what that looks like. Course plan. Okay, so then the other couple things I have is a predefined table. So predefined table is basically, sorry about that, is a table which is already kind of embedded in your system. So this one is an example. You have the fall semester showing a table with the date, day, and description. This is a table that's already been built for you. Now, let's say that you want to use the same headings, but maybe do different things with the content in the headings. You can still pull up the structure here. And so if I want to do a predefined table, I'm going to go down at the bottom here, click on that red box, and I'm going to go over back into that grid icon. And in the drop down, I'll go down to predefined table. And here I can see all the different tables that I have available. So I'm going to select the day, date, and description, which is what that fall semester, that calendar table used. And when I click on that and click OK, I can see really the skeleton of the table. So I can say something, like I don't remember what day it is right now. So Friday, December 16th, or is this, I don't know what day it is. Anyway, 17th. Description, last day of work week, new row, Saturday, December, whatever, no work, just kind of, you're building stuff within this table. And then when you are done with the content, this is what it would look like. The blue box, again, if you have anything in a blue box, you can double click and just modify the content if you need to. And that's what that predefined table will allow you to do. And then finally, last thing I have is shared content. So shared content, an example of shared content is on this overview tab. Anything that's in a gray box gray background is what's considered shared. So this is basically content that can be in multiple places in the bulletin. And so if you need to apply shared content, contact Jennifer. She's the person that is going to be in charge of creating and adding shared pieces to the catalog. A lot of things, if you want to see what shared content you have, if you do on your URL, if you do a /shared at the end of your bulletin, you will see the list of shared pages, different types of shared content. But nevertheless, this is something that Jennifer will insert for you if you need to. And again, as far as the shared content, I'm sorry, the predefined, again, we create these tables, but if you have specific headings that you need for your purposes, let Jennifer know and she'll reach out to us and we can do that for you. All right, that is everything I have. We have 3 minutes to spare. Does anyone have any additional questions?
Yeah, Cassidy, I see your note, and yeah, I will do that. Although last year's video and some other shorter videos that kind of explain more about what the bulletin is and who it's for and kind of how it's organized are available on that bulletin user guide website that is in my signature, and also should be in the opening email I sent out, I think on December 1st. So I'm going to be updating those in the next couple weeks.
Also, just the tables right here, the tables, there's a section on tables and it talks about course lists and footnotes here. And the course plan, we call it the plan of study grids, but that's also a link on that you can find on our help site, as well as predefined tables. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Shuva. This was very, very helpful.
You're welcome.
And right, yeah, if anybody has any questions, just reach out to me or give me a call, but I think we should be in good shape.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.